Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Taurus is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. And if there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Taurus, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And we're going with the goat as the first card. You're somebody with a lot of drive, right? This is that card of motivation. This is the card of endurance and perseverance. You are intensely motivated. This is a creative driving force. This is the engine of your car right now. And so it makes us ask, what is motivating you right now? Where are you getting the fuel for this engine that's driving you up the mountain? The goat is this energy that says, put me in front of a mountain, I will climb it to the top. Give me a ladder, I will climb that ladder all the way to the top. Let me just make sure that this is the right mountain for me, that my ladder is up against the right building, okay? So I think that this is an important time for you to understand what it is you're aspiring to, what you're working so hard to achieve, and let's make sure that this is really still what we want, okay? Let's make sure that the motivation we feel is still a pure and true and authentic motivation, okay? The creative drive can sometimes slide into an aggressive drive or a pleasure drive. Are we doing something now just because I don't want anybody else to do it? Are we doing it now just because, oh, it's feeling good, it's rewarding me in these, material ways or something? Let's make sure that's still a creative drive, that our creative drive, the generative drive, is still paramount, okay? Let's put this card into a little bit of context, and let's see what is going on. There we got the Fool. Okay. And we have a 5 of Pentacles. You have an 8 of Pentacles. You have the 6 of Wands. And you have the Hierophant. Here we have a 9 of Pentacles, a Princess of Wands. We have the Emperor, very good. And we have a 9 of Wands. A lot of good fire energy here today for you. Wow. Wow. The Fool is very interesting here, okay? Because that's kind of the challenge for us right now. The Fool is kind of saying, let me make sure I still know why I'm on the path I'm on. The Fool is just kind of, bumbling around a little bit. The Fool doesn't always have a sense of direction. Sometimes feels just like a feather on the wind, right? A cork on the ocean. But the Devil card is not that. The Devil card is, no, I'm going in this direction because why? Because I feel it, because it's in my bones, because this is what I need to achieve. This is my path. This is my purpose right now. This is the building that I'm climbing up. This is the ladder that I'm on. This is the mountain that I'm climbing. Maybe the Fool is saying, okay, let's not try to justify it. The interesting thing here is that we don't see any air energy, right? Let's get into it all. Let's select the mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it down over here with Bubo, the mechanical owl, right on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together, and it will give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card could be, put your prediction in the comments down below. All right, now, as we look around the room, we see 1, 2, 3, 4 major arcana cards. We have fire, fire, fire. We've got earth, earth, earth. Fire and earth even over here. Right? And even the Devil card itself is fire and earth, because it's a cardinal earth sign, Capricorn, right? Fire and earth, whereas Aries, you are fire and fire. So cardinal fire, cardinal earth, these two cards together, these are holy smokes. You are a very powerful manifester right now. Fire and earth, the spiritual electrical circuit of creation, right? Fire and earth. This is your impulse, this is your behavior. This is your will, this is your action. This is your inspiration, this is the implementation of it. This is your intention, and this is the hard work doing it in the physical plane. This is heaven, this is earth, above and below, inside to outside. Your will is manifesting on earth. This is that spiritual electrical circuit of creation, the art and science of manifestation. You're causing change in conformity with your will. That's the essence. Of course, we know that there has to be something to conduct this spiritual electricity, something to conduct the will to earth, right? Well, in the hierarchy of the elements, what do you have? You have fire at the top, earth at the bottom. You got to go through the water and the air to get there. Water and the air, human heart and mind, our values, our beliefs, our thoughts and feelings. Okay? And right now, we don't see anything in the reading except for fire and earth. We have air. But this kind of, to me, this represents the human personality right now, not resisting this energy, being kind of getting out of the way. You know, it represents a sort of purity and an innocence in our mind. I think that it's sort of talking about that in the heart energy too. So this is kind of the water in the air in between fire and earth. The Fool is just doing the thing. And the message here, because this is card 2, the battle station, the battlefield for you, is to not get in your own way. Don't overthink it. Don't let your heart or your mind even interfere with this process of creation. In other words, don't get in the goat's way. The goat will ram you, right? The goat's gonna like butt you right off the path. Just keep your heart and your mind out of the way. Keep it pure. And it's kind of a card that says what you're doing now, your motivations are so pure that you don't need to worry about that. You don't need to overthink this. There are no other swords cards, and there are no water cards, which are telling me that your heart and your mind are in the right place, and what you can do is rest easy because there is an innocence about you. There is there's a purity in your intentions right now. Your motivations are pure. So we don't need to cloud our perception. We don't need to cloud our psyche with doubts and worries about our thoughts and feelings, our beliefs and our values. Everything is real nice. Okay? Spirit's way of saying, let this process happen. Let this motivate, let this goat energy, this devil energy inside of you, let it drive the car. Let it push you forward. Don't start overthinking. Don't start doubting. Don't start feeling weird about it. Or, you know how when you're kind of in the zone, but then you start becoming a little too self-aware and we end up making a mistake, or we end up like fumbling something because we got too self-conscious. It's like you're just playing guitar up on stage and you're just in the zone, you're feeling it, but then suddenly like you become aware of what you're doing and you're becoming aware of like the crowd looking at you. And then suddenly like, whoops, you play the wrong notes. You're getting sweaty and stuff. The Fool is just frolicking. Fool is just innocent. It's kind of just saying, just let yourself go, because this is perfect. This is nice, right? And I think this is this is the battlefield for you, which means that you probably have a tendency to be self-conscious. The Fool is a big fat 0. No consciousness, really. Pure consciousness. So there's no self-consciousness because there's no human self, there's no human heart and mind to be aware of. This is the air, pure air, that's conducting that spiritual electricity. It's almost not even air, it's like the vacuum of space, and the signals being transmitted through the vacuum of space. It's kind of like there's nothing interfering with that signal. Okay, now I think there's stuff out in space that interferes, but you get the idea. Something is traveling without the friction of our heart and mind holding it back. Something has to travel through the air. The air has mass, it's friction. Water has mass, there's friction. In the vacuum of space, in the big fat zero of the Fool card, there's no friction. Don't be the friction. Okay? Let this flow through you. And that's your quest right now, because you might be someone that's prone to overthinking, to questioning, to having doubts, to kind of, even like kind of feeling some emotions, right? Where it's just like some days I don't know if I don't really feel like I'm doing a good job, or I don't feel so confident, etc. Right now we want to let all of that go. We just want to be the vacuum of space. Okay? We want to be just the purity and the innocence. We don't want to doubt or question our motivations right now, because I think we do that a lot. And I know we started the reading saying, well, maybe we need to look at those. The Fool is here to say, nothing wrong with my motivations. I'm doing the thing. Carefree. Right? Carefree. Underneath the surface, we have the Five of Pentacles, which shows the work that you're trying to do. This is something broken you're trying to fix. The Five of Pentacles underneath is the position of your soul. It's kind of, in some ways, what these motivations are for you. You're seeing a problem, and you're applying your energy to fix it. This is something that's not working. This may be a physical or financial thing. It may be something at home, at work, at school. It doesn't matter. This is something that you're looking at, and you're seeing a need. Right? You're seeing it's a 5. It's not a 6. It's dysfunction. Okay? It's instability. It's something that's diminishing in quality. Well, what you're doing is going from the 5 to the 6. The 5 to the 6 is also the idea of a spiritual union. The 5 representing our human self, and the 6 representing God, goddess, deity. Okay, and an ecstatic spiritual union. Okay, so you might be on a very distinct and very obvious spiritual path. But I think also in terms of our physical human destiny, and the external work that we're doing, whatever that work is. I don't just mean what you're doing for money, but your external work, what your purpose is in our world, right? Your generative drive to change the world for the better, right? You're finding something that is not perfect, something that needs work, right? This is like, you see the you see some dirty dishes in the sink, you're going to do the dishes. You're going to restore the beauty and harmony of the kitchen, right? I always loved, for me, cleaning the kitchen is always my favorite thing to do. I like the water, I like the movement of like wiping the counters down. I like being in the water doing the dishes. I like seeing things go from being like a disaster, like I just cooked a big meal, to like now being just shiny clean. Yeah. Anyway, that's me. I'm a Cancer sign anyway, so I like the water. But that's the 5. This is kind of like, this is what the motivation is for you. It's to generate something, to improve something, to bring something, restore something. Yeah, maybe you're somebody that restores furniture, or you upcycle things, or you recycle things. Maybe you're renovating something in your life. You're trying to improve the quality of your life. Maybe financially, maybe physically. Okay? I think it is also affecting you mentally and emotionally, and spiritually, creatively. Things that happen on the physical plane tend to trickle upward, right? And, of course, we see the same thing trickling downward, fire to earth, that spiritual electrical circuit of creation. You're going from your image of what perfection, what harmony, what beauty would look like. Now, perfection is not necessarily the right word, but you understand. This idea of beauty and harmony. Right? And we're using that ideal, that intention, our will, to achieve something. This is the card of victory. And that's trickling down here into the earth, where things are unstable, where things are not, things are not as harmonious as they should be. There's always some sort of instability. And that's what life generally is, going from a 5 to a 6. And then, oh, look, I fell into a 5 again. Got to climb back up to a 6. We're always striving to achieve this balance and this harmony. And we may achieve that for a few minutes, and then it starts to phase out a little bit. Oh, we got to restore it. Restore. I think the 5 is also, if you look at it, it looks like there's some good light underneath these discs. It looks like we're chiseling away at something, and we're going to reveal the perfection. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe you're a sculptor or a craftsperson, because you can take something that looks like just a bunch of gnarled wood, right? And you can chisel away at it and bring about its beauty. I mean, I think there's beauty in the gnarled wood itself, but you understand. That we can, it's kind of like we're looking at the blank canvas and we're seeing the beauty that's going to emerge from that. We're seeing the dirty kitchen, and we know we can see the vision of that sparkly, spotless, kitchen that's clean until the next time I cook. And that's going to be a disaster again. Ask my wife, anytime I'm in the kitchen, I just can't keep it clean. But I can make it clean after, So I like that we have that fire and earth thing. So I think your motivations are really pure. I think that you want to restore the beauty and order of your world. You're trying to maybe get out of debt. You're trying to create something artistic. You're trying to establish the harmony in your business or with your team or with your family or whatever it is. Okay? We're identifying where the problem is, and we're plugging away at it to restore this shiny beauty. Okay? Maybe you're restoring a car, I don't know. Maybe renovating your house, it could be. This could be an internal renovation. It could be we're doing the spiritual work here. Maybe you're doing something physical or working on physical health. Yeah. The 8 of Pentacles in the background is positioned for, it represents the dwarf. Sometimes this is some karma for us, but I think really what it is that things have become a little bit routine, that we've been so focused on tending to the garden, on working, on toiling away at whatever this is, that I think right now you're taking a step back so you can see the whole garden. You can look at it's like you want to see, you want to see you want to see the trees for the whole wood, right? Instead of honing in on each individual thing, I think right now you're trying to take that step back and thinking, am I making a dish? Am I too hyper focused on one thing? Am I making a difference here? So I think we're zooming out a little bit in life, because it could be that devil energy has been so focused on one particular portion of life, one particular area. You have a big garden. You're focused on one plant. You're focused on this one tomato plant. Well, what about the roses? What about the strawberries? What about the corn? What about the beans? What about the, I don't know, whatever else. I think I already said watermelon, right? The potatoes. We're sort of taking that step back so we can look at everything. Make sure that we haven't been missing any other details. Making sure that we haven't been sort of hyper-focused, right? Because that's one of the devil energy. The shadow qualities of the devil might be blinders, hyper-fixation on one thing, that I'm missing all the stuff around me. Okay? And this card is also an attention to detail. Well, if we have too much attention to these little details, maybe we're taking that step back to realize that, oh wow, okay, I've been too hyper fixated on one little thing. I need to start maybe, kind of branching out and taking everything into consideration, looking at it as a whole unit, rather than only being concerned with this little portion over here. Okay. And so I think that if anything, that's what's going on now, is that we've been in this fixated mode, this hyper focus, and we're taking a step back. I think to check in with our motivations too, and make sure that the work we're doing is still aligned with our highest motivations. Yeah. And I think that this is a really, really good thing. I think you got nothing to worry about, Taurus. I really think this is absolutely wonderful. The 6 of Wands up top here, it's the giant position. It represents our kind of highest ambition, what we're hoping for, what our objectives are. Kind of represents the reading in a nutshell. And it's victory, right? It's restoring the beauty and harmony. We're polishing something. We're taking something that's kind of dark and dingy, and we're polishing it up, making it shine. We're achieving victory. We're struggling for an ideal. We're struggling for a peak experience. This is that divine union, that ecstatic union between our soul and divinity. But in real life, too, in kind of our practical human life, so to speak. This is the union with your objective. This is that finish line. You know, we kind of see in the Rider-Waite or Pamela Coleman Smith tarot that the Six of Wands is one person on a horse with a crown, a wreath for a crown, and they're being sort of championed by all these people that are walking around them. So someone's being lifted up as like the champion. You're the champion, or you led us to victory, thank you, you know. And so I feel like it is really that sort of feeling, that pride, that, you know, the union with the goal and the way that feels. And so I think that you're doing this hard work because you want to get to the goal here, and you know what that's going to be like. I think that you maybe are leading others to a goal, or you might be, you're going to feel very empowered at the achievement. You know, this kind of a Jupiter and Leo energy here. There's going to be a fortification of the ego. There's going to be a little bit of an expansion of the ego. We need to keep that in check a little bit. Yeah, because we want to make sure that we recognize that, hey, it wasn't just me. You know, everybody's lifting you up and saying, you did it, you did it, you did it. And you're saying, yeah, I did it. It was me. It was all me. It wasn't the rest of you. No, we're kind of recognizing everybody, saying, you know what, we did this together. We're all in this together. We're staying humble. Okay. I think that's important too when we look at the Emperor in the position of the obstacle. Okay, we want to fortify the ego, but not too much. Now, the Fool doesn't have an ego. The Fool is saying, nope, I'm not even present. This is something that's happening, you know, without my conscious human interference, right? I'm no friction. I'm providing I'm providing the medium through which this spiritual energy can reach the earth. Okay, so we're just providing we're just kind of facilitating the process. The Fool's not doing anything. The Fool's letting something flow, right? Through that vacuum of space. We're that big fat zero, and the bigger of a zero we are, the more that spiritual energy can flow through. It's like, how big is the pipeline for that spiritual energy? Yeah. And so the Fool is saying, look, it's kind of our human ego is saying, I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is kind of staying out of the way and giving space for this process to unfold. Okay, it's kind of like when you're creating music. Now, I did a musical album a long time ago. It's terrible, terrible music. But during that process, I kind of tried to just stay out of the way and let that creativity flow through me. And so there was a part of my mind, part of my ego that was standing aside and just watching the process, watching it unfold. And I was keeping other thoughts from interfering. No, stay back. They're onto something over there, you know? Like keeping our own heart and mind from interfering, from doubting, from being too self-conscious, from questioning things, from interrupting that flow of creativity. Okay. The Hierophant in the future position to me feels like an expertise, right? And it's kind of the next step forward for you, I think, is it could be anyway sharing what you're learning, sharing what you've been working on, what you've been developing. Okay, transmitting that wisdom to others. Yeah. In this horizontal flow, right? We can see that you're transforming into something. There's growth here. There is an absence of self-consciousness or ego. Okay, there is an ambition and a motivation. I think that if anything, this process of manifestation, fire to earth, I think that you're cultivating something in yourself. You're learning a skill, or you're becoming like a master at something. You know, it could be like this is you like doing plumbing. You're going to be an expert plumber. I don't know. You're going from kind of this apprentice to some achievement. So I feel like there is, even if it's something external, which I'm sure there's some external component to it, the real growth is taking place inside of you because of who you're becoming. So you're learning the new skill, or you're developing some aspect of yourself. Okay? And I think that we have to look at that as being the real win. This is kind of the future as time goes forward in this position. This is the imago. This is the image of the future. And it feels like we are gaining in wisdom and knowledge to the point where you could, I'm not saying you have to, but you could teach it to others. Because you've gone through this process, you're sort of earning the right to tell other people how to do it. And I'm not saying that you're going to, or that's what your path is supposed to be, but it's kind of like, in my personal belief, and I think what is being shown here in the cards, is that only those who have done can teach. You know, they always say, like, those who teach, you know, if you can't do it, you teach it, or something like that. I forget how it goes, but I never liked that phrase. So I feel like you have to do it if you're going to teach it. You have to know how to do it. You have to have lived through something if you're going to share that with anybody else. I don't want to learn jujitsu from somebody that just read about it in a book. I want to learn it from somebody that has suffered blood, sweat, and tears, has climbed the mountain. And yes, that's who I want to learn from. I want to learn from the person that's climbed the mountain. Okay? Those who can't do, teach. That's some bovine excrement, if I ever heard it. Right? So, if maybe you are a teacher, maybe you have aspirations to share your wisdom or your knowledge with the world, you're very qualified to do that. So yes, please do it, okay? Even if that's not something that you're consciously thinking of, maybe you can consider it in the future as sharing what you've learned with others, because you have earned that. You have lived through it, you have done it, you have bled, sweat, and cried for this. You are more than qualified to share your wisdom with other people, or literally go get a job teaching, or start a YouTube channel, or write a book, or whatever it might be. Pass it on to someone else. And I think that maybe is really what Spirit's saying to you, is that you do have to pass this on. You've learned how to be magic. You have learned how to manifest your will, that you're achieving something wonderful. And it's your duty in life as a human being to pass that on to somebody, right? It can't just end with you. Right? Path of the Serpent, we're going to talk about these cards now. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. These readings are totally free, and it really does support the channel, and I do appreciate that. So your position 7, the persona, the general energy, this is how the rest of us see you. This is how you see yourself, right? See ourselves as like, I'm just climbing the mountain. That's all I know. The rest of us see you. This is kind of the subjective view, and this is the objective view of you. And the rest of us see you as somebody who is making progress, somebody who is gaining, somebody who is succeeding at life. This card is the 9 of Pentacles. It's growth, it's gain on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and spiritual creative planes. So we understand that the work we're doing on the physical plane is also work we're doing on the spiritual plane. That the physical growth is leading to spiritual growth, creative growth, mental, emotional growth. The whole organism is growing and gaining and progressing. This is the visible sign of progress. People can look at you and say, you're coming far, you're getting better. You're making progress. We can see you, just all you see is the goat on the mountain, climbing step by step by step, looking at the mountain, looking at your feet, climbing up the mountain. You don't really know how far you've gone. Because when you're on the mountain, all you see is right in front of your face, mountain. You don't know how much mountain's left. You know, you're just thinking hands on the ladder, 3 points of contact at all times, and I keep going, and I'm looking at the rungs, I'm watching, I'm doing the ladder. But the rest of us out here are thinking, holy smokes, you're high up there. You've gotten really, really far. So sometimes it's not always easy for us to see our own progress, but we can look at it objectively. Now, I don't think there are people that are standing around looking at you and saying, oh my gosh, look how high Taurus is. No, but I think that if you were to look at yourself objectively, you will see that you have made tremendous progress already, and that you're only going higher. Okay? Really beautiful stuff here. In the environment, we have the Princess of Wands. And the Princess of Wands is a rather impulsive energy. Kind of has this urge to abandon something and go do something more fun. Kind of feel like we have to, harness this energy in a way. I was going to say like suppress it or get rid of it. We have to harness this. In other words, if we want to keep doing this work, we have to make this interesting. And maybe the Fool is saying, let's be carefree, let's keep doing what we're doing, but let's make it fun. The Princess of Wands wants excitement. These two cards are very connected in the spread, as are these two, okay? These two and these two, very connected in the spread. So the Princess of Wands is maybe starting to feel a little bored. It's kind of like, I want excitement. How do I get something more interesting, more exciting in my life? Because the Princess of Wands, it's impulsive. If you let it have its way, it will go over here, it'll do something really, really exciting, and then it'll just abandon it and go over here and do something really, really fun, really, really exciting, then it'll abandon it. When it gets bored, it'll just get up and walk away from something. And so it's like a toddler in the house that goes and plays with everything in the house for like 5 minutes, gets bored, walks away from it. Doesn't clean it up, doesn't put it away, doesn't finish it. Just gets bored, stands up, walks away. And it's like, where are you going? Off to the next thing, right? We have to harness this energy, which means that we have to find a way to keep this interesting, keep that Fool happy, right? Keep it exciting so that we can keep doing it. That's how we keep ourselves motivated. We keep ourselves fixed on that path. Somehow we can make it fun. We can keep it fresh, okay? Because Spirit wants you to keep doing what you're doing. Don't give up the path. Don't change course now. You're making too much progress, okay? This card is in your environment. It is in your relationships. It may be that what you really need to do in order to occupy your ego a little bit is go do something else that's fun. Don't worry about this. Keep doing this. Let the goat keep climbing the mountain. But as extracurricular, on the weekends, go do something fun to satisfy this need for change, for diversity, for, for excitement, okay, for variation. Don't abandon your work. Add to it something fun that you can do to keep yourself, entertained, let's say. Evenings, weekends, do something that you enjoy. Okay, I think that's a real practical recommendation, so that you don't start slacking off on this central work you're doing. You've got to find a way to either keep this interesting and keep this engaging and keep this exciting, or at least find something exciting to do, because this energy is in you and it needs to go somewhere. Now the next card is the Emperor, the ego, the fortified ego, the one who is in control and is achieving this confidence, this energy, this victory. We don't want this victory to inflate the ego. We want to keep the ego in check. Right now, the Emperor is in the position of the card you don't want, your fear, worry, and concern. The fear is that our ego might get the best of us, and then once the ego starts getting involved, we sort of lose that purity of intention, and we start doing things just for the ego gratification, rather than in that pure, innocent way. Suddenly now, the Fool has an ego. Uh-oh. The Fool with an ego is the worst kind of fool and the worst kind of ego, right? So we're keeping that in check, but we also need this card. We need the fortified ego. And I think that we need to have the authority, but we need to realize that the ego is merely the facilitator, not the doer. The ego is the discipline. The ego is the pilot of the ship, the one who's got their hands on the wheel, left turn, right turn, 5-degree down bubble. But it's not the captain of the boat. Spirit is the captain of the boat, and the Fool realizes that. The Emperor sometimes forgets and thinks, I'm the captain of the boat. No, you're just the one holding the joystick. That's it. The ego is the one holding the joystick, not the one making the decisions, not the one that is sort of doing anything or bringing this energy down. Okay, so it's our sense of agency, it's our autonomy, yes, but we're taking orders from somewhere. The pilot of the boat takes orders from the captain. And the captain is your soul, your spirit, your higher self, true self, guardian angel, spirit guide, whatever, right? That divine energy. And so the ego is the one that is, yes, maybe making the choices, but those choices are guided by that higher wisdom. Yeah. And of course we see the nine of wands here at the end here, the position 10, the destiny card. And to me, this is strength, and this is connection, this is fulfillment, The sun and the moon are conjoined. You're doing something with this tremendous purpose, and your energy is, it seems like it's just increasing. Okay, you even have, it's very interesting, we have a 6 and a 5, right? Fire and earth. Then over here we have fire and earth in 9, the 9s. The more you succeed at something, the more motivated you'll get. The more we can objectively look at our progress and see our growth in every dimension of life, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, creative. The more we get the 9 of Pentacles, the more we get a 9 of Wands. And the more we get the 9 of Wands, the more we send that energy back down to earth and we make more progress. It's a closed loop. It's feeding on itself, right? We're getting more and more power, more empowerment, more motivation, more resolve, more willpower. Every time we look at the growth and we see more progress, we get more willpower. More willpower means more progress. It's a closed loop. Yeah, that's extraordinary. You really are in this manifesting energy right now, and I think all your goals are really going to expand and I think just grow beyond your expectations. I really, really do. Let's look at the mystery card. Yeah, this is position 11. The guide represents the voice of the silence within you, and very often is a message from Spirit telling us what we need to do in order to move forward. Maybe it's a quality that we should develop in ourselves, or something to look out for, or something to be aware of, or kind of a method or a technique that we should employ. So what do you think this is going to be? Well, I think maybe the universe card. Might as well go for everything, right? Go as high, climb as high as we can up the mountain. I'm thinking universe, I'm thinking Wheel of Fortune. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Let's take a look. 3 of Wands. The 3 of Wands is recognition. It's also appreciation. It's the card of virtue. It's the card of knowing who I am and why I'm here. It's kind of, to me, feels like it's the purity of our intentions. I know that this is my will. I know that this is who I am, this is why I'm here, and now I can have that Fool energy and I can have this innocence and this purity and this freedom to not worry about it, to just do it. All the doubts have been removed because, you know what? There's virtue in this. So I think Spirit wants you to recognize your virtue. Recognize the virtuousness, or even we could say the righteousness of the path you're on now, so that you can do this work worry-free, without friction, and you will accomplish so much more. Okay, so we're taking that more objective, zooming out, bird's eye view of our work, and we're saying, yeah, this is correct. I am doing the right work. Things are functioning. I feel good. I feel that I feel proud of what I'm doing. I feel that there's a nobility here. There is a virtue in what I'm doing in this life. It's about you recognizing your power and taking ownership of that power, but also giving credit where credit is due. Recognizing that I'm not an island. I'm not literally in a vacuum. That I rely on other people to make this work. Even if I'm alone, even if I don't talk to another person in my day, I realize that I rely on a lot of people. There are a lot of things that I need in my life that if other people weren't there, I wouldn't be here either. We're sort of a recognition of the interdependence, and that's the teamwork aspect of the 6. I'm a very valuable 3 of Wands, but so are you. And together, we make magic. Together, things happen, you know? So it's kind of like, even though I stay in this basement studio all day filming, right? There are things that are happening outside of this room that I rely on, okay? The electric company's keeping the lights on. You know, the sanitation department comes and picks up the garbage once a week, most weeks. Yeah. And of course, my wife and child are up there, and they're preparing lunch. They're cleaning the house. They're getting ready for our day. They're, you know, my wife's probably doing some laundry, that sort of thing. Okay. Even though, nobody's in here with me right now helping me do this work, but we all rely, we're interdependent with life itself, with the universe itself. So I think we are literally all in this together, supporting each other, helping each other directly or indirectly. And we need to take credit for what we're doing, but we also give credit where credit is due. The Six of Wands is the name of the game. I love this reading for you, very powerful. And we're going to do an extended reading as well. We'll do an I Ching hexagram. We'll do some oracle cards. There is a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Taurus Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you are watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we are all in this together.